So this amendment does two quick little insertions on page 2, line 3. After rights, inserting but shall not include private property, keyword being private. Page 5, line 14. After property, insert excluding private property. And here's why. So I want to speak about this, not only about the bill, but about the principle of this, one that ties, one that really just, that lies at the heart of our great state and the foundation of our nation. It is the principle of individual liberty, the sacred right of private property, and the belief that government should serve the people and not the other way around. The bill before us seeks to ensure that land exchanges with the federal government do not result in a net gain of federal land within our borders. I agree, on the surface, we are working to safeguard our state sovereignty, which we constantly need to do. But let's look a little bit deeper. This bill allows the infringement upon the rights of private property owners, our ranchers, farmers, and everyday citizens. It limits their ability to sell land as they see fit. This is not just about land, it is about freedom. It is about the right of every Wyomingite to decide what to do with the property that they have worked so hard to own. If a private property owner chooses to sell their land to the federal government, it is not for us or any government entity to stand in their way. That decision belongs to them and to them alone. Now, some would argue that the federal government should not constitutionally own land except for specific purposes, such as military installations, other enumerated reasons. While I understand and respect that perspective, it's a much bigger fight than that. We must recognize that this is a constitutional issue, one that requires a direct and focused challenge by the state itself. It is not appropriate, nor is it fair to place the burden of the fight on individual property owners. We're putting people between us as a state and the federal government. These citizens should not be forced to navigate complex legal battles over federal ownership simply because they wish to exercise their right to sell property. That responsibility lies with us as a state to address directly and comprehensively without infringing on the freedoms of our people. I understand the concerns about federal overreach. I share them. But in addressing one form of overreach, let us not create another. By imposing restrictions on private landowners, we risk violating the very rights we claim to defend. To borrow some famous words, the greatest tyrannies are always perpetuated in the name of the noblest causes. This amendment that I've brought removes this limitation on private property owners. It's an amendment grounded in the belief that Wyoming citizens do not need a government telling them how to exercise their rights. They are capable, independent, and wise enough to make those decisions for themselves. And if you looked ahead on the amendment list as I did, you'll see a couple of other proposals that would allow the state to offset any net gain or try with state statute to try to limit the feds. And while this may sound like a good workaround, it still amounts to a restriction on individual rights. This amendment just keeps it simple. Let's not forget what we are here to do. We're not here to impose, we are here to protect. We are not here to dictate, we are here to defend. As we deliberate on this, remember the voices of the people that we represent, those who value their independence, their freedom, and their rights. So I urge you, my colleagues, to support the amendment to protect private property rights. Let's stand firm in the belief that Wyoming is a state where freedom is more than a slogan. It is our way of life. Thank you.